Show for ladies who are tired of pretending and are ready to be real. I am so excited. I am so happy. Guys, rejoice, rejoice, and praise the Lord. Today is the feast of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, who I have a very strong devotion to. And it's also my daughter's 13th birthday, which is also really amazing and beautiful and exciting. But most importantly, today, Roe versus Wade was overturned. I can't even tell you how happy this makes me. I know a lot of people out there are really upset, and I kind of get it, but I feel like they have wins all the time, and this is our win, and we need to rejoice and be happy. I I've been very pro-life for a very long time. I don't even really know why. I don't know, I was just raised in your average lukewarm Christian family. But I don't know, there was something in my heart from the time I was young that I just knew abortion was wrong. And I remember in high school, like hearing about it and be like, this is not okay. Why would anyone think it's okay to hurt a little innocent person? And I became very pro-life, and I started going to abortion clinics with friends and praying outside of them. And I remember in university, actually, I went to a university in Texas, and so I know Governor Abbott made today a holiday in the great state of Texas, to just take a day off and be like, we all need to rejoice, and like we need to mourn all those babies that we lost, and we need to celebrate. Like today, like not every state abortion's illegal, but Texas it is, because thanks to the heartbeat bill that was passed, and so now in Texas, babies in the womb are safe. Yes, of course, the moms can drive to another state, but in Texas, there will be no more slaughtering of innocent, beautiful children. I went to a university, and in this class, I had probably 100 people in the class. And the teacher asked us to stand up if we were, or asked how many people thought abortion was okay, and then asked us to stand up if we were pro-life. And out of 100 people, there was probably about 50 of us that stood up. And he's like, okay, but what about in cases of you think abortion's okay in some cases, like rape and incest? And probably half the class, half the people standing sat, and we had maybe 20 people left. And then he kept asking questions. More and more people sat down. I think there was maybe 7 of us in the end. And he's like, you mean to tell me that you 7 know better than everyone else in this room and know better than me, your professor? And I was 18 years old, and I remember thinking, yeah, I'm sorry, just because you say something's okay doesn't mean it is. I know that I'm right. I know that a baby is sacred and beautiful and precious. And I've seen ultrasounds, like I've seen pregnant women, I've touched pregnant women's bellies and seen the baby move, right? Like I know it's a life. And I really thought this day would happen. I didn't think it would happen this soon. I know we talked a lot about pro-life issues with friends, and we did debates and we did talks, and then I was a youth minister for many years, and we bring teens to abortion clinics and we pray outside of them. And my secretary ran a Gabriel project. We helped with that. We helped with other clinics that help, pro-life clinics, that help moms and babies that need help. So getting diapers or formulas or childcare, car seats, all those things that people need. I was very involved in that. And I remember thinking, I know that Roe versus Wade is going to be overturned in your lifetime, in my lifetime. I thought I'd be much older. I thought I'd be like 70 or something by the time it got overturned. And the fact that my daughter just turned 13 today, I still have little kids. Like, I'm so happy. Like, I can't even tell you the joy I have in my heart. Yesterday, I was texting with a friend of mine, and it was a really long day. I was traveling from morning to evening, and it was a really long day, and I was really sick beforehand and just lots of suffering. But yesterday was just really good. And I felt like the Lord was showing off his goodness and his generosity. And I went to a doctor's appointment, found myself at this beautiful Byzantine church praying for all of you, and just praying for my family, praying for all these intentions, right? And an intention that's been in the back of my heart, the back of my mind for a long time is ending abortion, stopping this genocide of innocent babies. And my kids often pray for it, pray for the end to abortion. And we started taking them to marches when they were really little. And I remember one time, the first time we went, I think my oldest was like 2 or 3. And he's like, well, what are we doing? And we're like, we're marching because we love babies. He's like, we love babies. And he just started chanting, we love babies, as we walk around. He's like, wait, sorry, doesn't everyone love babies? And we're like, no, some people don't love babies. And there were some protesters there, and we're like, they don't love babies. And he's like, why would you not love babies? Like, he just couldn't understand it, right? And I think the innocence of little kids, yeah, and I just think that there's a lot of people today that are upset that this got overturned. And they're like, they're taking away our reproductive rights. That's not true. Like, reproductive rights are still yours. And yeah, I think there's just been certain lies that have been fed and certain lines that we say, like, abortion is healthcare. No, it's not. Or earlier, I think it was Nancy Pelosi was like, doctors, serve women and provide abortions. Like, doctors take an oath to do no harm. Abortion is doing a lot of harm, both to the mom and the baby. Lots of harm being done. A while ago, you can go back to one of our earlier episodes. It's not on YouTube, but I want to bring Gracie back on and have her again. But I believe it's episode 98 and 99. And I interviewed this beautiful girl, Gracie, and she shares her story of abortion. She was a college athlete, and she basically lays it all out. She found out she was pregnant. She was on scholarship. Her boyfriend also was on scholarship. He said, well, if you're pregnant, it's your fault. Kind of left her on her own. Her parents said, we'll take care of it. We're coming to get you. And they came and got her. And they drove, and she knew where she knew where they were taking her. And she wanted to say, no, I don't want to do this. No, I don't want an abortion. But she remained silent because the enemy was in her head saying, if you say something, then everything will change. You won't be their precious little girl anymore. You'll ruin everything. If you just go along with this, you can go back to life normally. And she talks about being in the hotel room and just bawling her eyes out quietly so her parents wouldn't hear, but quietly bawling and going in for her abortion. And she talks about what happened, and she refused pain medicine because she wanted to know what was going on. She wanted to be aware. And she talks about being in the waiting room, and she's like, I'm in a room full of women that are shells of who they were just moments before. We were lied to and we were robbed, and we're told we can't leave this room until we have our juice box and our snack before they let us go. And she said she was a shell of who she was. And her story is amazing and beautiful because I didn't interview a woman who is very broken and flawed and sinful. I interviewed a fully alive woman who has been restored and forgiven, and God is so merciful and so loving. And this is an amazing, beautiful, holy woman. And it was just such a gift to hear her story. So if you want to go back to the podcast, listen to episode 98, 99, I'll try to have her back on the show. But she talks about how her brother came to her rescue. She was basically curled up fetal position on the floor of her dorm room, bawling. And he just came in like knight in shining armor, picked her up, brought her to a friend's house, and they basically helped her recover, get the help that she needed. And beautiful people loved her. They helped get her to confession. They helped rebuild and put together the pieces. And and she has an amazing husband who is so loving and so understanding. And there's so much more to that story, but I don't want to get into it now. I want to talk about today and what this means. And I am so happy. And so, I don't know, I think that suffering is redemptive. And I think as Catholics and Christians, we get this more so than the rest of the world. Like, I think the rest of the world is like, you shouldn't suffer. You should feel no pain. You have a headache, take Advil, take Tylenol, like numb something if it hurts. Like, you shouldn't experience any pain or discomfort. And not that I want people to suffer. I don't. But I think there is something to, like, we teach our kids when they're in pain, like, who do you want to offer this up for? My son scraped his knee really bad last night. And I was like, who do you want to pray for? So he says who he wants to pray for. And sometimes my kids in the past have been hurt and like, oh, I pray that abortion ends. And it's like, that happened. Well, not quite, but Roe versus Wade was overturned. So at the national level, that's been overturned. And now it's up to each individual state. So we need to keep praying. We need to keep fighting. I pray for anyone that's watching this, any of you, my brothers and sisters that are pro-abortion. I pray for softness of your heart. I pray that the scales may drop off your eyes and you may see abortion for what it really is. It is not women's health care. It is murder. It is the murder of an innocent, beautiful baby. I gave a talk when I lived in Ireland. I was pregnant with my first. And in Ireland, we lived in a really, really rural area. So the ultrasound machine, I think, was like kind of like what we had here in the States in like the 70s. And so it was real black and white, fuzzy image, and it just wasn't a very good quality. And so that's what people are used to seeing. And when I came back to the States, my sister got me in to get a 3D ultrasound, and it was amazing. I've never seen anything like it. And I could see my little one in my womb doing flips, sucking his thumb, moving his mouth, like moving his face, and you could see his eyes and his nose. It was so beautiful. I gave a talk at our local Gaelic high school, and I basically talked to them about abortion. And some of the girls were telling me beforehand that they were talking like, oh, would you have an abortion? Oh yeah, no, my parents would kill me. Of course I would. Even though at the time abortion was illegal in Ireland, a lot of people would go to England to have an abortion, or you could order RU46. You could order the morning after pills through and abortion pills through Northern Ireland and get it that way. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I would. No, my dad would kill me. Of course I would. And they're just kind of chatting or whatever, and like, yeah, abortion's fine, whatever. And we know Catholics aren't really into it. And then I gave my presentation. It wasn't emotional. It was just factual. It was like, okay, at this many weeks, this is this type of abortion. This many weeks, this is this. And I just described the types of abortion, and I had a slideshow and I showed pictures. And I'm like, okay, at this age, the baby can suck its thumb. And then I showed a picture of a video of my baby that I'm pregnant with as I'm giving this talk. And I'm like, this is him sucking his thumb right here. This is what's going on. And they just were in awe. And these girls afterwards were like, just in shock, and like, oh, well, Cameron, I didn't know it was a baby. It's really a baby. Like, yeah, it really is. You've got a baby in your womb. Like, yeah, I do. I have a baby in my womb. Like, they just didn't know. And so when science got more advanced, I was like, obviously, Roe versus Wade will be overturned now, because now we know. Science is on our side. Like, back then, we didn't really know, but now we know. And then it wasn't. And I'm like, it will be eventually. And I've gone to multiple March for Lives. I've done pro-life marches in Ottawa, Canada, San Diego, Texas, Atlanta, like all over with our kids. And and always like, eventually our prayers will be answered. And I really think on this feast day of the Sacred Heart, like, there's been so many rosaries that have said, so many prayers, so many prayer services for this to actually happen, and now it has, and I am so happy, and I think you should rejoice and be happy too. And I think we need to, in the next few days, tread lightly, but with compassion. We need to be loving to our friends, our brothers and sisters that are not rejoicing. They are saddening, they are mourning, they are super sad and angry, and they think that they've something from the Constitution, a constitutional right has been ripped from them, which is just not true. It's like, you've been lied to about what abortion is, okay? And we need to lovingly talk to them, and talk to them in a logical way if they're open to having that. And then we also need to just pray for courage to stand up. And we need to pray for courage to say, I'm willing to have the conversation with you if you would like to have a conversation. I'm sorry that you're upset and you're emotional right now. We need to not be belittling, but I think as a mom, I can definitely say this, when my kids are throwing a fit, or if you're near a toddler throwing a fit, you cannot reason with them. You cannot talk to them and try to calm them down. It doesn't work. You just need to step back and let them do it and say, when you're done, honey, I'm here for you and I'm happy to talk to you. And sometimes you need to like remove them and they need to have a little quiet time. And then once they're calm, you can have a conversation. So please don't engage anyone right now on social media that's like, you're wrong. You shouldn't be sad. You should be rejoicing because, this has been a great victory. I just think we need to use compassion and love. And we just need to keep praying. Like we went, I'll put up my picture for this thumbnail. I didn't do it yet, but I will. My husband and I went and prayed outside of the chapel, or prayed in our adoration chapel at our church. And there was a sign outside basically saying, ring the bell. The church is locked. You can't get in. Normally our church is unlocked, but it's smart right now because people have threatened to do rioting in the street or hurt churches or hurt pro-life centers. We need to cover all of them in prayer and then pray for us to be courageous and stand up for truth and love. But I just want to do a quick video and just say, yay, I am really excited. And I just want to share my joy with you. And I need to go downstairs and rejoice and share in feasting with cake with my family. But praise be Jesus Christ.